Hey, Bulldog fans, this is Tommy McClellan, Athletic Director at Louisiana Tech, with this new episode of Tech Talk. I'm here with head volleyball coach Amber McCray as she continues to observe social distancing and quarantining wherever she is. But again, we're looking forward to the next episode here with Amber McCray. Amber, how are you doing, and where are you at these days?
I am actually in East Texas. I came home to be with my family when all the shortly before we kind of had the shelter in place happen in Ruston. I was already home, and I've been here ever since in Long Beach, Texas.
Okay, great. Well, tell me a little bit about what your new norm is, and how are you maintaining connectivity and connection with the student athletes, and creating some semblance of a routine and normalcy for them, even in this very odd time.
Right. Well, first of all, this situation is just something, obviously no one ever saw coming. And it came at a rough time for us because we had just kind of finished up our winter quarter and we're heading into actually starting our spring season with team practices. So we got two team practices in before all of this kind of changed everything. And it's been difficult because we had all these plans for training and all these different things that we wanted to do on the court, and now we don't get to do them. However, one of our main goals for the spring has been to make sure our team can grow together and to work on our chemistry and getting to know each other and really pouring into each other even off of the court. And thanks to platforms like Zoom and FaceTime and all of that stuff that they love, that we still have plenty of opportunities to do so. So they've been doing that. We have our Zoom meetings weekly. We have our academic meetings with our kids, making sure that they're staying on top of their grades because that's most important right now. And then we have our position meetings still, kind of talking to them about different things, learning the game, as well as our staff meetings. We just had a staff call this morning. So that's been the biggest way that we've been able to keep in touch with each other, trying to really just focus on those little things that we can do to pour into each other, and that can help us still come out of this having grown as a team and being better off from it.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a time like this, we have a tendency to probably focus on the negatives, the things that we're not able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But what are the things, you've been a coach for several years now. How long have you been a head coach now?
I've been a head coach now. I just finished year 7
Yeah, I was thinking
as
7 or 8.
coach.
So, I mean,
Yes.
you've had a lot of cycles through of recruiting and travel and
Mm-hmm.
recruiting and try to kind of cycle through it. And certainly, again, we can focus on the things that we can't do and the things that are negatives. But as a coach that's been doing this a while, what are the things now that it's kind of like me, right? I'm at my house and I look at pressure washing. I'm like, okay, one day I'll get around to doing that, or I'll get to that this summer. Well, I'm getting to do
Mm-hmm.
things I never envisioned that I would do around my house just because I do have the time, although we are still working from home. The reality is I'm at home more and I have opportunities to do that. It may be that it's bothering me more now that
Mm-hmm.
I'm at home all the time. But what are those things that you kind of like, hey, as a coach, I always wanted to kind of get in front of this, or I always want to do that, but now you have the time and you're able to do that?
I think the biggest thing, a lot of coaches would probably say emails, just being able to really get on top of those, since that's, we don't have practices and all of that's taken up a great chunk of the day. We were pretty caught up on paperwork, so that hasn't been an issue, but I think just really responding to recruit emails, getting to really pour into our committed kids and talk to them more often, as well as just have personal conversations with our current student athletes. I think there's sometimes, as you're getting into the flow of season and off season and just everything that you have to do in the academic year, those personal relationships kind of suffer sometimes, or they're not always, you don't have the time to pour into them as you would like. So that's been one big thing that we've been really focused on as a staff in these past few weeks: personal relationships with our teams, and then also personal relationships with our families. As coaches, college coaches, we're on the road so much. Schedules are brutal. We would normally be recruiting right now. I don't always get the time to come spend with my parents and sister and nephews that I'm getting right now. So that has been a huge benefit, a huge blessing, and I'm taking advantage of every moment, as well as encouraging my student athletes and staff to do the same.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think those are the things that, as coaches or administrators, those that we're constantly on the road and preoccupied by our jobs
Hmm.
and those challenges. We can, certainly we're spending less time with our families during those times. Now we're having that opportunity.
Right.
Tell me about recruiting. How you have kids who committed? Obviously, we can't talk about the kids that are committed, but how are you able to kind of maintain that connection? And they can't come on an official visit. Recruiting is suspended right now. Are there ways that you can kind of, are you connecting them in a way that they can see the campus, or maybe showing them videos, or what are the things that how are you able to do this in this new world that we live in?
Right. Well, I think the NCAA, everyone has just been scrambling, trying to figure out how to navigate this new normal. And in the past week or two, they've put out, more legislation or more just policies that give us a better idea of what we're allowed to do and what we can't do and how we can move forward through this. So one thing they have said is that we can give the virtual tours. So that is something that we had several recruits that we are anticipating getting out to campus really soon this spring, and obviously can no longer do that. But those virtual tours will offer an opportunity to show them a little of Ruston, though there's some areas we still can't go into right now. So those are a little bit limited. But we do have that. And in addition to just getting to know them, I mean, having
Sure.
conversations, sometimes it's so hard to catch up with recruits because they have crazy schedules and club tournaments, and we have crazy schedules. And this has been a time that everybody has a lot of time. So we've been able to actually have those conversations and really get to know them, as well as allowing them to really get to know us, so we can truly see if this is going to be a good fit or not. So while no, we're not able to see them on the court per se, a lot of them have still been doing a great job getting video out and all of that. We've been able to keep in touch, still see if it's a good fit personality wise, and go from there.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Again, we're creating. I think what we'll all learn from this is there are going to be things moving forward through these technologies such as Zoom that we are going to be incorporate more into the recruiting process and other things
Hmm.
that previously we just maybe didn't do as much. And so
Right.
it certainly gives you that as close to a personal interaction as you can have.
Right, exactly. They can see your face, we can talk to mom and dad. I mean, it's just really been helpful. I think a lot of people are really doing a great job of making the best of the hand we've been dealt and the best of the circumstances. And we are going to come out of this, I think, better and kind of improved in some ways, as long as we just continue to focus on the positive.
Agreed. Well, we talk about recruiting. Let's talk about. Let's just rewind the clock a little bit. You had the opportunity as a high school student athlete in the state of Texas to be recruited, probably
Yes.
recruited all over the country. And you chose the University of Florida in Gainesville, and so you
Yes,
you
I
you
did.
picked the Gators. Let's talk a little bit about that and about your experience and what it was like, being able to play volleyball at a high level, and were a highly decorated volleyball student athlete yourself. And if I remember correctly, was a legacy. Did you follow your sister? Did she follow you
I
to
did.
Florida?
I followed my sister. She is 5 years older than me, Nicole McCray Thorne now. And honestly, she was a reason. Her going to Florida was a reason I did not want to go to Florida
Of course.
initially.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of have this idea. I wanted to do my own thing and have my own school, and I was really caught up in that until probably my last couple years of high school, of just really looking at it. Florida stayed in the mix, even though I always joke with
Oh
them I was
wow.
a terrible.
You was going to do that to your sister? You were going to go to Florida State?
Yeah, well, I just
Wow.
no. Florida State wasn't in the mix, but
Oh,
Florida
okay.
continued to stay interested, even though
Okay.
I was kind
Florida.
of an
I got you.
awful recruit. I didn't. They always told me, like, you never responded to anything, because I just really kind of felt like I don't know what I was thinking in my process. I thought it would just kind of happen when it happened. But the more I got serious about it, and I really started to go looking through kind of all of the things I desired in a school, Florida kept being at the top of the list. And I just found, got to a point where I realized, okay, Amber, this is a really silly reason not to want to go there, and could actually be an asset, because she was there my freshman fall. She was in Gainesville, so I got to have her kind of
Wow.
helping me through the transition, and it turned out to be a huge blessing. I couldn't imagine going anywhere different. So I'm thankful that Mary Wise and Co stayed on me, and didn't let me use that silly reason to not be a Gator.
Well, you know, and it's certainly understandable when you have legacies. You know, people, obvious reasons, you know, that choose different schools and maybe don't want to go in that footstep. Sometimes it's maybe a parent, sometimes it's a sibling. But in your case, you know, you did take that step and probably, you know, got that unique experience. Given that y'all are 5 years apart, you probably never had a chance to be in high school together, but you got that
No.
opportunity in college. So that's always kind of cool.
Mhm. I just missed her. We almost got to play together. She
Oh
had
gosh.
redshirted a year.
Oh, she did.
I
Okay.
redshirted, yes. She tore her shoulder and had surgery her freshman year, and then I unfortunately tore my ACL my freshman year, and I was there 10 years. So it was a decade of McCrae's, a long time, but we never got to play together,
Okay,
unfortunately.
well, but you extended your legacy there to 10 years instead of 8, so that
Yes,
was accomplished that. Well,
we
so I
got
mean, at some point
everything out.
along the way, you saw, okay, this game of volleyball has meant so much to me, and you know, you transitioned. I don't know, maybe at what point, maybe you were earlier in your life, you knew you wanted to be a volleyball coach. Maybe it was later on. Talk about your decision to become a coach and when the game of volleyball kind of captivated you in a way that you said, "How this is what I want to do for a living."
Mhm. I actually kind of have a different story because I did not want to be a coach. Growing up, I liked it. I enjoyed it every time we coached at Florida camps in the summer, but it was never something that I looked at and said, I want to coach. It actually wasn't until I tore my ACL, so that put grad school into the picture. And I decided I wanted to go for sport management because I knew I loved sports and I wanted to stay in it, but I wanted to do college athletic administration, trying to be like you guys. And Coach
Mhm.
Hungate was actually, you know, my dream job. I wanted to be in SWA somewhere. So I began working in our Florida athletic department for 3 years, starting my last year of grad school. And I did that, assuming that would be the path I took. And then my last year there, I started coaching a club team on the side and found myself just frankly falling in love with it. I loved my job in our athletic department, but in women's administration, but I loved and looked forward to my club practices even more. So around that time, my sister needed a new assistant. She was at Panola College in Carthage, Texas, and she was also pregnant with my second nephew and said that she wanted someone she could trust and that she knew the team would be in good hands. And that time she was on maternity leave. And that was about the time I was trying to get back to Texas because I was missing my family. And God just really worked it out. He laid it out perfectly, gave me an opportunity to come back home, gave me an opportunity to try something that I had truly fallen in love with very quickly in a short period of time, and haven't looked back. Been coaching ever since. So it was really kind of all just laid out perfectly, and now I can't see myself doing anything different.
I remember whenever I was talking to your AD at Panola when we were going through the interview process, and you talked about wanting to. At one point, you said you want to be in administration. The quote he
Hmm.
gave me was, "Hey, listen, she's a great coach, but she is an administrator's dream. The way that she handles her paperwork and
Oh,
everything." So, you know, that was always something that stuck out. Now I know why, because you desired to do that at some point. So, tell me a little bit about your family. Obviously, you've got the sister, and you've got
yes.
nieces and nephews. How many siblings do you have? What about nieces and nephews?
Okay, so I just have my one sister, Nicole. She's, like I said, 5 years older than me, and she has two sons, Logan and Jordan. Jordan is 13, and he is taller than me. Well, he's
Wow.
my height now. I still have him for probably the next month. By the time we get out of this quarantine, the way
Oh,
he's
I'm
eating,
sure.
he'll be way taller than all of us. And then my youngest nephew, Logan, is 9, or almost 9. He's 8 right now. He'll be 9 this summer. And then my mom and dad is who I'm here with now, John and Darlene, and then my brother-in-law, Rufus. And that's pretty much been our quarantine team for these past few weeks and all I've been seeing, but I've been loving every second of it.
I feel like we need to be tracking on your nephew if he's 13 and already as tall as you, and so we have to
Oh
pass his
yeah.
name along.
Basketball is his favorite sport, but he's been getting into football and track and doing some different things. It blows my mind how much he's grown up, and how deep his voice is, and just all of that. Both of them are just growing like weeds. So I'm really loving this time playing a lot of card games, doing a lot of TikToks with those guys, and just pouring into them and enjoying every minute.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, as we, again, the future is certainly, it's uncertain, and we've got to continue to continue to get better each and every day. What do we choose to do, whether that's as an aunt or as a coach?
Hmm.
How are we going to choose every day to try to get better? And we look forward to that day that we can get back on the court, that we can see your team back playing again in the Thomas Assembly Center, and really just excited about the direction that you have the program going in. The way that you took a team that, you came into a situation where you had everyone on the team was pretty much yours, and you molded and kind of created an identity and kind of a tenacity that team had that I can see it just continuing to grow. So I'm looking forward to seeing the newcomers come in and kind of taking the next step. And we look forward, hopefully we get that opportunity in the fall.
Yes,
We're
yes.
optimistic,
Prayers.
but prayers for it.
Yes.
We're very optimistic, but we do encourage people to kind of continue to follow our volleyball program and your success and their success and where we're going. The young ladies in our volleyball program do a great job of representing us not only on the court, but off the court and certainly in the classroom. And that starts with you, and we appreciate your leadership.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tommy. I appreciate you guys as well. I've been thrilled with Louisiana Tech's leadership, especially in this time of struggle from Dr. Geis down. So keeping us informed, keeping us prepared. It's been awesome to be a part of it.
Well, Amber, we thank you so much, and we appreciate everybody for joining in today on today's episode of Tech Talk, and we look forward to having another episode later this week. Thank you so much, and go Bulldogs and go Lady Texas.